Have you ever looked at your life and felt frustrated because you know you are capable of more? Maybe you've made promises to yourself that were never kept. Maybe you've started strong, only to lose momentum. Maybe you've spent years waiting for confidence, motivation, or the perfect time to finally become the person you want to be. The truth is that lasting change does not begin when life becomes easier. It begins when you decide to believe that your future can be better than your present and take responsibility for making it happen. In the next few minutes, you'll discover practical lessons that can help you build stronger confidence, develop discipline, overcome setbacks, make better decisions, and create meaningful progress in every area of your life. Most importantly, you'll learn why the greatest transformation starts the moment you stop doubting your potential and start acting on it. Stay with this message, because one idea could change the way you see yourself forever. Chapter 1. Choose to trust your abilities despite uncertainty daily. Most people spend far too much of their lives waiting for certainty. They wait for the perfect moment. They wait until they feel confident. They wait until they know exactly what will happen. They wait until every doubt disappears from their mind. In that waiting, years pass. Opportunities pass. Growth passes. Life continues moving while they remain standing still. The truth is simple. Certainty is a luxury that rarely exists. No one can predict every outcome. No one can guarantee success before taking action. No one receives complete assurance that every decision will work out perfectly. The people who appear confident are not people who have removed uncertainty from their lives. They are people who have learned how to move forward, while uncertainty is still present. Believing in yourself does not mean believing that everything will go according to plan. It means trusting that you can handle whatever happens. This distinction changes everything. Many people think self-belief comes from success. They imagine that once they achieve enough goals, earn enough recognition, or receive enough praise, confidence will naturally appear. Yet experience shows the opposite. Many successful people still struggle with doubt. Many talented people still question themselves. External achievements can provide temporary encouragement, but lasting self-belief comes from a deeper source. Real confidence is built when you repeatedly prove to yourself that you can act despite uncertainty. Think about the challenges you have already overcome in your life. There were moments when you did not know how things would turn out. There were situations that felt difficult, uncomfortable, and unfamiliar, yet somehow you found a way through them. You adapted, you learned, you grew stronger. Those experiences contain an important lesson. You are far more capable than your fears often allow you to see. Fear has a way of exaggerating risks while minimizing strengths. It focuses your attention on everything that could go wrong. It creates vivid pictures of failure, embarrassment, rejection, and disappointment. At the same time, it hides evidence of your resilience. It ignores your previous victories. It overlooks your ability to learn and adapt. This is why self-trust is so important. Self-trust means believing that even if things become difficult, you will find a way to respond. It means understanding that challenges do not automatically defeat you. It means recognizing that uncertainty is not a sign to stop. It is simply a normal part of growth. Every meaningful achievement begins with uncertainty. The person who starts a business does not know exactly how customers will respond. The person who changes careers does not know exactly what opportunities will appear. The person who begins a new relationship cannot predict the future. The person who pursues a dream cannot guarantee success, yet progress belongs to those who move forward anyway. One of the most practical ways to develop self-belief is to keep small promises to yourself. Many people underestimate the power of this habit. They make commitments and then break them repeatedly. They promise to wake up earlier, but they ignore the alarm. They promise to exercise, but they skip the workout. They promise to study, but they delay the work. Over time, these broken promises create an invisible problem. They weaken trust in themselves. Imagine working with someone who constantly makes promises and never follows through. Eventually, you would stop trusting that person. The same thing happens internally. When you repeatedly fail to honor your own commitments, your mind begins to question your reliability. The solution is not making bigger promises. The solution is making smaller promises and consistently keeping them. Wake up when you said you would wake up. Complete the task you planned to complete. Follow through on the commitment you made to yourself. Start small if necessary. Consistency matters more than intensity. Each completed promise becomes evidence. Each act of discipline becomes proof. Each follow-through strengthens the belief that you can depend on yourself. Another powerful practice is learning to separate your identity from your results. Many people make the mistake of viewing failure as a reflection of who they are. When something goes wrong, they immediately conclude that they are not smart enough, talented enough, or capable enough. This way of thinking creates unnecessary suffering. A failed attempt is simply information. It is feedback. It is an event. It is not an identity. A person who fails at a task is not a failure. A person who makes a mistake is not a mistake. A person who experiences rejection is not defined by rejection. Strong people understand this difference. They examine setbacks objectively. They ask useful questions. What can be learned? What can be improved? What should be adjusted next time? This mindset protects confidence because it allows growth without self-condemnation. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood something that remains relevant today. They taught that much of life is outside our control. We cannot control every outcome. We cannot control other people. We cannot control every circumstance. What we can control is our response. This idea provides enormous freedom. When you stop demanding certainty from life, you can focus your energy where it matters most. Instead of obsessing over results, you focus on effort. Instead of worrying about every possible outcome, you focus on the actions available today. Self-belief grows when attention shifts from what cannot be controlled to what can. You may not control whether everyone supports your goals. You may not control economic conditions. You may not control unexpected obstacles, but you can control your preparation. You can control your attitude. You can control your discipline. You can control your willingness to continue. These are the foundations of genuine confidence. Confidence is often misunderstood as a feeling. In reality, confidence is frequently a decision. It is the decision to act before feeling completely ready. It is the decision to speak when your voice shakes. It is the decision to try again after disappointment. It is the decision to continue when progress feels slow. Waiting to feel confident before taking action creates a trap. Action creates confidence far more often than confidence creates action. The person who starts develops experience. The person who develops experience gains competence. The person who gains competence builds confidence. Everything begins with action. There will be days when doubt returns. There will be moments when uncertainty feels overwhelming. There will be situations that challenge your belief in yourself. During those moments, remember an important truth. You do not need perfect confidence to take the next step. You do not need complete certainty to move forward. You do not need guarantees to pursue meaningful goals. You only need enough courage to take today's step. That single step may seem small, but it carries tremendous power. One action creates momentum. Momentum creates progress. Progress creates evidence. Evidence strengthens belief. Over time, those small daily actions transform the way you see yourself. You stop viewing yourself as someone who waits. You stop viewing yourself as someone controlled by fear. You begin seeing yourself as someone who acts despite uncertainty. That identity changes everything. The future will always contain unknowns. Challenges will always exist. Risk can never be eliminated completely, yet your ability to face those realities can grow stronger every day. Trust your preparation. Trust your effort. Trust your capacity to learn. Trust your ability to adapt. Most importantly, trust that you are capable of far more than your fears suggest. Every day presents a choice. You can allow uncertainty to control your actions, or you can move forward while uncertainty remains. Choose movement, choose growth, choose discipline, choose self-trust. And with each choice, your belief in yourself becomes stronger, steadier, and more unshakable than it was the day before. Chapter 2. Strengthen your confidence through consistent daily actions. Confidence is often misunderstood. Many people see it as something that appears after success. They believe confidence arrives once they achieve a goal, receive recognition, or reach a certain level of accomplishment. Because of this belief, they spend years chasing confidence while never realizing that confidence is actually built long before success arrives. The strongest confidence is not created by extraordinary moments. It is created by ordinary moments repeated consistently. It grows through small actions performed day after day. It develops when a person learns to rely on their habits instead of their emotions. Every person experiences days when motivation feels strong, energy is high, goals seem exciting. Taking action feels easy. The real test comes on the days when enthusiasm disappears. Those are the moments that shape character. Anyone can work hard when they feel inspired. Few people continue when they feel tired, discouraged, distracted, or uncertain. Yet those difficult days often create the greatest growth. A person who reads 10 pages every day gains more knowledge than someone who waits for the perfect mood to study. A person who exercises consistently for 20 minutes develops greater strength than someone who works out intensely once and then stops for weeks. A person who practices a skill daily improves faster than someone who relies on occasional bursts of effort. Life rewards consistency far more than intensity. This truth is simple but powerful. Most achievements are not the result of one dramatic action. They are the result of hundreds of small actions performed over time. The outside world often notices the final result, but it rarely sees the daily discipline that made it possible. When people admire confidence in others, they usually see the surface. They see calmness during pressure. They see certainty during challenges. They see determination in difficult situations. What they do not see are the countless days of preparation that created that confidence. Confidence is built through evidence. Every action you complete sends a message to your mind. Every finished task becomes proof of your capability. Every commitment honored becomes evidence that you can be trusted. Think about how trust develops between people. Trust does not appear instantly. It grows through repeated experiences. Someone keeps their word consistently. They show up when needed. They behave reliably over time. Eventually, trust becomes strong. The same process happens within yourself. When you consistently follow through on your intentions, you begin to trust your own abilities more deeply. You stop questioning whether you can depend on yourself, because you have accumulated proof through action. This is why daily discipline is so important. Discipline is not punishment. It is self-respect expressed through behavior. A disciplined person understands that feelings change constantly. Some mornings bring excitement. Other mornings bring resistance. If actions depend entirely on emotions, progress becomes unpredictable. Feelings are temporary. Standards are lasting. When you establish clear standards for your behavior, you create stability in your life. Instead of asking whether you feel like taking action, you simply ask whether the action aligns with your standards. This approach removes unnecessary internal conflict. A person committed to growth does not negotiate with every feeling that appears. They recognize emotions without allowing emotions to become the decision maker. This mindset creates freedom. Many people believe discipline limits freedom. The opposite is often true. Lack of discipline creates dependence on circumstances. Discipline creates independence from circumstances. Consider someone who manages their finances wisely. Their discipline gives them more choices in the future. Consider someone who maintains good health habits. Their discipline increases their physical freedom. Consider someone who develops valuable skills consistently. Their discipline expands opportunities. Short-term comfort often creates long-term difficulty. Short-term discipline often creates long-term freedom. Building confidence through daily action requires patience. Modern culture encourages immediate results. People want rapid transformation. They want instant progress. They want visible change as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, meaningful growth rarely follows that timeline. Personal development often feels invisible at first. The first days may seem insignificant. The first weeks may appear ordinary. Sometimes progress is happening beneath the surface before it becomes visible. A seed planted in the ground does not immediately show its growth, yet important development is already taking place. Roots are forming. Strength is developing where nobody can see it. Human growth often follows a similar pattern. Many people quit too early because they underestimate the value of gradual improvement. They judge themselves based on immediate results instead of long-term progress. A wiser approach is to focus on the process. Instead of asking whether today's effort changed everything, ask whether today's effort moved you forward. Instead of demanding dramatic improvement, aim for consistent improvement. One useful practice is ending each day with honest reflection. Take a few minutes to review your actions. Consider what went well. Identify areas that need improvement. Acknowledge your effort without exaggeration or self-criticism. This habit develops self-awareness. Self-awareness is essential because confidence without awareness becomes arrogance. Genuine confidence comes from understanding both strengths and weaknesses clearly. Strong individuals do not pretend to be perfect. They simply refuse to allow imperfections to stop their progress. Every person has areas that need development. Every person makes mistakes. Every person encounters setbacks. What separates successful people from unsuccessful people is often their response. Some people interpret mistakes as proof they should quit. Others interpret mistakes as information they can use to improve. The second response creates growth. Growth requires humility. Humility means accepting that improvement is always possible. It means remaining open to learning. It means recognizing that there is always another level of skill, wisdom, and understanding available. At the same time, humility should never become self-dismissal. There is a difference between acknowledging areas for improvement and constantly minimizing your abilities. Many people spend years focusing exclusively on what they lack. They rarely acknowledge their progress. They overlook their strengths. They ignore the challenges they have already overcome. This habit weakens confidence unnecessarily. Take time to recognize your development. Notice the situations you handle better today than you handled a year ago. Notice the habits you have improved. Notice the knowledge you have gained. Notice the discipline you have developed. Progress deserves recognition, not because recognition creates complacency, but because recognition reinforces positive behavior. The goal is not to become satisfied with where you are. The goal is to appreciate how far you have come while continuing to move forward. Each day presents an opportunity to strengthen your confidence. Not through wishful thinking, not through empty affirmations, not through waiting for perfect conditions. Confidence grows when action meets intention. It grows when promises become behaviors. It grows when goals become daily practices. It grows when effort becomes a habit. The most confident people are rarely those who possess extraordinary talent. They are often the people who have developed extraordinary consistency. They understand something important. They know that confidence is not something they must search for. It is something they create. Every completed task contributes to it. Every responsible decision strengthens it. Every disciplined action reinforces it. Every day of persistence expands it. The future version of yourself is being built right now through the choices you make today, not tomorrow, not next month, not when conditions improve today. The small actions that seem insignificant now are quietly shaping your character. They are teaching you who you are. They are establishing the standards you will live by. They are creating the foundation upon which lasting confidence is built. Continue showing up. Continue improving. Continue honoring your commitments. Continue taking action even when progress feels slow. Over time, those daily actions become undeniable proof that you are capable, reliable, disciplined, and strong. And when that evidence accumulates, confidence no longer feels like something you hope to have someday. It becomes something you carry with you every single day. Chapter 3. Replace self-doubt with empowering and supportive thoughts. Self-doubt rarely arrives as a loud voice announcing its presence. More often it appears quietly. It hides inside ordinary thoughts. It speaks through hesitation before an opportunity. It appears when a challenge demands more from you than your comfort zone is willing to give. It shows itself when you begin questioning whether you are capable enough, experienced enough, intelligent enough, or prepared enough. Many people assume self-doubt is a sign that something is wrong with them. They believe confident people never question themselves. They imagine that successful individuals move through life with complete certainty about every decision. Reality tells a different story. Almost every person who has accomplished something meaningful has experienced uncertainty. The difference is not the absence of doubt. The difference is how they respond when doubt appears. The human mind constantly creates interpretations about events, situations, and experiences. These interpretations shape emotions, influence behavior, and ultimately affect results. When a challenge appears, one person may see an opportunity for growth, while another sees proof of potential failure. The challenge itself remains the same. What changes is the meaning attached to it. This is why your internal dialogue matters so much. The words you repeatedly say to yourself become instructions for your mind. They influence what you notice, what you expect, and how you behave. A person who constantly tells themselves they are incapable begins acting cautiously. They avoid risks. They hesitate during important moments. They become trapped by limitations that exist primarily in their thinking. On the other hand, a person who develops supportive and constructive thoughts approaches situations differently. They remain realistic, but they also recognize their potential. They focus on possibilities rather than imagined disasters. They look for solutions instead of collecting reasons to quit. Replacing self-doubt does not mean pretending difficulties do not exist. It does not mean convincing yourself that success is guaranteed. It means learning to speak to yourself in a way that strengthens your ability to act. Imagine facing an important opportunity. Perhaps it is a new job, a presentation, a business idea, or a personal goal that matters deeply to you. Self-doubt might say, "What if you fail?" That question often creates fear because it focuses attention on one possible outcome. A more supportive thought would ask, "What if you succeed?" Another useful thought might be, what can I do today to improve my chances? Notice the difference. The mind moves away from fear and toward action. Questions direct attention. Better questions often create better responses. Many people spend years asking questions that weaken them. Why am I not good enough? Why does everything seem difficult? Why do other people have more confidence than I do? These questions rarely produce useful answers. They encourage comparison, frustration, and discouragement. Constructive questions create a different experience. What can I learn from this situation? What skill would help me improve? What is one step I can take today? How can I handle this challenge more effectively? These questions encourage growth because they focus on progress. Another important practice is learning to recognize exaggeration in your thinking. The mind sometimes treats temporary setbacks as permanent realities. One mistake becomes evidence of incompetence. One rejection becomes proof that success is impossible. One difficult day becomes a reason to question an entire journey. This habit creates unnecessary suffering. A setback is simply a moment in time. It is not a prediction of the future. It does not define your potential. It does not determine what is possible tomorrow. Strong thinkers develop the ability to separate facts from assumptions. The fact may be that a plan did not work. The assumption may be that nothing will ever work. The fact may be that progress is slower than expected. The assumption may be that progress will never happen. The fact may be that a skill needs improvement. The assumption may be that improvement is impossible. Learning to distinguish between facts and assumptions protects you from many unnecessary limitations. Another source of self-doubt comes from comparison. It is easy to look at someone else's achievements and feel inadequate. Modern life provides endless opportunities to compare your beginning with someone else's years of experience. You see polished results without witnessing the effort behind them. You see victories without seeing struggles. You see accomplishments without seeing failures. Comparison often creates distorted perspectives. Every person is walking a unique path. Every individual has different experiences, opportunities, strengths, and challenges. Measuring your worth against another person's journey creates confusion because you are comparing situations that are not the same. A wiser approach is measuring yourself against your previous self. Are you becoming more disciplined? Are you learning new skills? Are you handling challenges better than before? Are you making decisions that align with your values? These questions focus attention where it belongs. Growth. The Stoics taught that much of human suffering comes from focusing on things outside our control. This lesson applies directly to self-doubt. Many anxious thoughts involve outcomes that have not happened yet. The mind creates scenarios, predictions and fears about events that may never occur. Meanwhile, the present moment is often neglected. Confidence grows when attention returns to what can be controlled. Your effort can be controlled. Your preparation can be controlled. Your attitude can be controlled. Your willingness to learn can be controlled. Your response to difficulty can be controlled. When energy is invested in these areas, personal power increases. When energy is wasted worrying about uncontrollable possibilities, personal power decreases. Supportive thinking is not blind optimism. It is disciplined thinking. Disciplined thinking acknowledges challenges while refusing to be dominated by them. It recognizes obstacles without surrendering to them. It sees risks while still moving forward. The goal is not to eliminate every doubtful thought. That goal is unrealistic. The goal is to prevent doubtful thoughts from becoming permanent beliefs. Thoughts come and go. Beliefs stay longer because they are repeated. This means every day provides an opportunity to strengthen better beliefs. When doubt says you are not ready, Remind yourself that growth often begins before readiness feels complete. When doubt says improvement is too difficult, remember the skills you have already learned throughout your life. When doubt says progress is too slow, remember that meaningful change is usually gradual. When doubt says you cannot handle challenges, remember the difficulties you have already survived. Evidence is stronger than fear. Your history contains proof of resilience, adaptation, learning, and persistence. Those experiences matter because they reveal something important about your character. They demonstrate that you are capable of more than temporary emotions sometimes suggest. The quality of your life is heavily influenced by the quality of your thinking. Every day, your mind is creating stories about who you are and what is possible. Some stories weaken you. Others strengthen you. Choose stories grounded in truth, responsibility, growth, and possibility. Choose thoughts that encourage action. Choose interpretations that support learning. Choose beliefs that help you move forward. Over time, these choices reshape the way you see yourself. And when your view of yourself changes, your actions begin to change as well. As your actions change, your results improve. As your results improve, your confidence grows stronger. What once felt impossible begins to feel achievable. The process starts with a simple decision. Refuse to become an ally of your own limitations. Become an ally of your own growth. Speak to yourself with honesty, wisdom, and encouragement. Develop thoughts that strengthen rather than weaken your ability to act. The voice inside your mind will always influence the direction of your life. Make sure it becomes a voice that helps you rise rather than a voice that convinces you to stay where you are. Chapter 4. Accept responsibility and take control of your future. There comes a moment in every person's life when a difficult truth must be accepted. The circumstances you face today may not be entirely your fault, but your future is still your responsibility. Many people spend years waiting for someone else to change their situation. They wait for better opportunities. They wait for more support. They wait for luck to arrive. They wait for conditions to become favorable. While they wait, time continues moving forward. Days become months. Months become years. The future they hoped for remains distant because hope alone never creates progress. Real transformation begins when a person stops asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and starts asking, "What can I do about it?" This shift may seem small, but it changes everything. Responsibility is often misunderstood. Some people hear the word and immediately think of blame. They imagine criticism, guilt, or punishment. True responsibility is something entirely different. It is the recognition that your choices matter. It is the understanding that your actions influence your direction. It is the decision to become an active participant in your own life rather than a passive observer. The moment you accept responsibility, you gain power. Before that moment, circumstances control your emotions. Other people's opinions control your confidence. Unexpected difficulties control your motivation. Every external event determines how you think and feel. After that moment, something changes. You begin focusing on your response instead of your excuses. You begin directing your energy towards solutions instead of complaints. You begin building your future instead of waiting for it. One of the most damaging habits a person can develop is the habit of transferring responsibility. This happens when someone constantly places the cause of every problem outside themselves. They blame their upbringing, their environment, their lack of resources, their co-workers, their family members, their past mistakes, or their current challenges. Certainly, external factors influence life. No reasonable person would deny this. Some people face greater obstacles than others. Some journeys are more difficult. Some circumstances are unfair. Yet history repeatedly shows that extraordinary people emerge from difficult situations because they focus on what remains within their control. They do not waste years wishing reality were different. They ask themselves what can be done today. This mindset creates momentum. Imagine two individuals facing the same setback. One spends months talking about why the situation is unfair. The other spends those same months searching for a way forward. At the end of the year, their lives often look completely different. The difference is not intelligence. The difference is not talent. The difference is ownership. Ownership means treating your life as your responsibility. Ownership means acknowledging mistakes honestly. Ownership means refusing to hide behind excuses. Ownership means making decisions based on long-term growth rather than short-term comfort. Many people fear responsibility because they believe it increases pressure. In reality, avoiding responsibility often creates far greater pressure. When you avoid responsibility, problems accumulate. Small issues become larger. Delayed decisions become urgent. Neglected habits create consequences. Ignored opportunities disappear. Responsibility may feel uncomfortable at first, but it prevents much greater discomfort later. A person who manages their health consistently avoids many future problems. A person who manages their finances wisely avoids many future worries. A person who develops valuable skills continuously creates more future opportunities. A person who strengthens their character daily becomes more prepared for future challenges. The future is shaped long before it arrives. Most people imagine that major life changes occur through dramatic events. More often, they occur through repeated daily decisions. A future filled with confidence is built through today's actions. A future filled with competence is built through today's learning. A future filled with opportunity is built through today's preparation. This is why personal responsibility is so powerful. It turns ordinary days into investments. Every action becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Every decision either strengthens your future or weakens it. Every habit contributes to the direction of your life. The Stoic philosophers taught that peace comes from focusing on what can be controlled. This principle remains incredibly relevant today. You cannot control every event. You cannot control other people's behavior. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control the past. However, you can control your effort. You can control your integrity. You can control your attitude. You can control your willingness to learn. You can control the standards you choose to live by. When attention remains focused on these areas, progress becomes possible. One practical exercise is conducting regular personal audits. Instead of asking whether life is treating you fairly, ask more productive questions. What skills am I currently developing? What habits are helping me move forward? Which behaviors are holding me back? What responsibilities have I been avoiding? What actions can I take this week that would improve my situation? These questions create clarity. Clarity leads to better decisions. Better decisions lead to better outcomes. The willingness to evaluate yourself honestly is one of the greatest strengths you can develop. Honesty requires courage because it forces you to confront uncomfortable realities. It may reveal weaknesses. It may expose poor habits. It may uncover wasted time or neglected responsibilities. Yet honesty also creates freedom. You cannot improve what you refuse to acknowledge. You cannot solve problems you refuse to identify. You cannot create meaningful change while pretending everything is fine. Growth begins where honesty begins. Another important lesson is understanding that responsibility and perfection are not the same thing. Taking responsibility does not mean never making mistakes. It does not mean always having the correct answer. It does not mean becoming flawless. Responsible people still fail. Responsible people still experience setbacks. Responsible people still encounter uncertainty. The difference is that they learn from these experiences, rather than allowing these experiences to define them. They adapt. They improve. They continue moving forward. This approach builds tremendous inner strength because it removes the need for excuses. Instead of protecting their ego, they focus on developing their character. Over time, this creates confidence rooted in reality. You begin trusting yourself because you know you will face problems directly. You begin respecting yourself because you know you will not run from responsibility. You begin believing in your future because you are actively contributing to it every day. The life you desire will not appear by accident. The person you wish to become will not emerge through wishful thinking. Both require participation. Both require effort. Both require ownership. Every morning presents a choice. You can continue waiting for circumstances to improve, or you can become the person who improves circumstances through disciplined action. One path leads to frustration because it depends on factors beyond your control. The other path leads to growth because it depends largely on the choices you make. Choose ownership. Choose accountability. Choose action. Choose personal responsibility. Your future is not determined by a single decision. It is shaped by the countless decisions you make when nobody is watching. It is influenced by the standards you maintain, the habits you practice, and the responsibilities you accept. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to rescue your future is the moment you begin creating it yourself. Chapter 5. Develop courage by facing challenges with determination. Courage is often misunderstood. Many people imagine courage as fearlessness. They picture someone standing confidently in the face of difficulty without feeling any hesitation, anxiety, or uncertainty. This image sounds impressive, but it rarely reflects reality. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to move forward despite fear. Every person encounters moments that test their resolve. A difficult conversation must be had. A major decision must be made. A new opportunity appears that requires leaving behind familiarity. A challenge emerges that seems larger than current abilities. In these moments, fear naturally appears. It is part of being human. The question is not whether fear will show up. The question is whether fear will become the leader of your decisions. Many dreams remain unrealized because people allow discomfort to determine their direction. They stay where they are because it feels safer. They avoid taking risks because uncertainty creates tension. They postpone important actions because waiting feels easier than confronting the possibility of failure. Yet growth rarely occurs inside comfort. Comfort has its place. Rest is necessary. Recovery is valuable. Peace is important. But a life spent avoiding every challenge becomes smaller and more limited. The boundaries of that life are determined not by ability, but by avoidance. Each challenge carries an opportunity that cannot be gained elsewhere. A difficult project develops competence. A demanding goal develops discipline. A setback develops maturity. A responsibility develops character. The challenge itself is not the reward. The person you become while facing it is the reward. This is why determination matters. Determination is the ability to remain committed when progress becomes difficult. It is the refusal to abandon your values and goals simply because obstacles appear. It is the decision to continue applying effort even when results are not immediate. Many people begin with enthusiasm. Few continue with determination. Enthusiasm depends on emotion. Determination depends on commitment. One fades quickly, the other remains when conditions become difficult. Think about any meaningful accomplishment. Whether it involves education, business, health, relationships, or personal development, there is usually a period when excitement disappears and effort must continue anyway. This period reveals something important about character. When circumstances become demanding, excuses become available. There is never a shortage of reasons to quit. The timing is not ideal. The process is harder than expected. The results are slower than anticipated. The obstacles are larger than imagined. These reasons feel convincing because they contain some truth. Challenges are often difficult. Progress can be slow. Obstacles can be frustrating, yet successful people respond differently. They acknowledge difficulty without surrendering to it. They accept reality without becoming discouraged by it. They continue focusing on the next useful action. This approach reflects a principle that has guided resilient individuals throughout history. Energy should be invested in action, not complaint. Complaints create temporary emotional relief, but they rarely create solutions. Action creates movement. Movement creates opportunity. Opportunity creates progress. Determination grows stronger each time you choose action over avoidance. One practical way to develop courage is by deliberately facing small discomforts. Many people wait for major tests of character while ignoring the opportunities available every day. Speak up when you would normally remain silent. Take responsibility when it would be easier to blame circumstances. Attempt something new when familiarity feels more comfortable. Arrow a problem directly instead of postponing it. These moments may seem insignificant, but they build an important skill. They teach your mind that discomfort is survivable. The more evidence you gather that you can handle uncomfortable situations, the less intimidating future challenges become. Courage develops through practice. Just as physical strength increases through repeated training, courage increases through repeated exposure to situations that require bravery. No one becomes courageous by avoiding difficulty. Courage emerges through engagement with difficulty. Another important lesson is learning to separate temporary emotions from permanent decisions. A challenging day can create discouragement. A disappointing result can create frustration. A mistake can create embarrassment. These emotions are normal. What matters is avoiding the mistake of allowing temporary feelings to dictate long-term choices. Many people abandon worthwhile goals during temporary periods of frustration. They make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. Determined individuals understand that emotions change. They do not expect every day to feel inspiring. They do not require constant motivation. They focus on what must be done regardless of how they feel in a particular moment. This mindset creates stability. The Stoic philosophers often emphasize the importance of responding wisely rather than reacting impulsively. This wisdom remains valuable today. When a challenge appears, pause before judging it. Do not immediately label it as unfair. Do not instantly conclude that success is impossible. Instead, ask a better question. What can this situation teach me? Every challenge contains information. Some challenges reveal weaknesses that require improvement. Others reveal strengths that were previously hidden. Many reveal both. Difficult experiences often introduce us to parts of ourselves we would never discover under easy conditions. Patience, persistence, adaptability, self-control, thoughtfulness. These qualities rarely develop during periods of convenience. They emerge when life requires more from us. This perspective transforms challenges from enemies into teachers. Not pleasant teachers. Not easy teachers, but valuable teachers. Over time, a person who consistently faces challenges with determination begins to notice a powerful change. Their confidence becomes less dependent on circumstances. They stop believing they need perfect conditions to succeed. They stop assuming every obstacle is a sign to quit. They stop viewing difficulty as evidence of inability. Instead, they develop a quiet trust in their capacity to endure, adapt, and continue moving forward. This form of confidence is different from arrogance. Arrogance assumes success is guaranteed. Courage accepts uncertainty while continuing anyway. Arrogance ignores difficulty. Courage acknowledges difficulty and proceeds with wisdom. Arrogance seeks recognition. Courage seeks growth. Life will always present challenges. Some will arrive unexpectedly. Some will test your patience. Some will challenge your beliefs about yourself. Some will demand far more effort than you initially expected. You cannot control the arrival of every challenge. You can control your response. Each challenge presents a choice: retreat or advance, avoid or engage, complain or act, surrender or persist. These choices shape character far more than circumstances ever could. The person you become is influenced by how you respond when life becomes demanding. Every challenge faced with determination strengthens your ability to handle future difficulties. Every obstacle overcome expands your understanding of what you are capable of achieving. Courage is not built in a single moment. It is built through countless decisions to keep going. It is built when you refuse to let fear make your choices. It is built when you continue taking meaningful action despite uncertainty. It is built when determination becomes stronger than discomfort. And with each challenge you face, you discover a truth that many people never fully realize. You are capable of far more than you initially believed, and the path to discovering that strength begins the moment you stop running from difficulty and start meeting it with determination. Chapter 6. Build resilience through setbacks and keep moving forward. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Even the most disciplined person will encounter moments when effort does not produce the expected result. Plans will fail, opportunities will disappear, people will disappoint you, circumstances will change without warning. There will be seasons when progress seems slower than it should be, and periods when challenges arrive one after another. Many people believe success belongs to those who avoid setbacks. Experience shows something very different. Success often belongs to those who learn how to recover from setbacks without losing their direction. Resilience is one of the most valuable qualities a person can develop because it determines what happens after disappointment. Anyone can move forward when everything is working well. The true test of character appears when reality refuses to cooperate with expectations. A setback has a unique ability to reveal the beliefs a person holds about themselves. When things go wrong, some people immediately assume they are incapable. Others conclude that the goal itself is impossible. Some become trapped in frustration and begin focusing entirely on what was lost. Resilient individuals respond differently. They feel disappointment because they are human. They acknowledge frustration because ignoring emotions does not make them disappear. They allow themselves to experience the reality of the situation without allowing the situation to define their future. This distinction is important. There is a difference between experiencing defeat and becoming defeated. One describes an event, the other describes a decision. Every setback contains two parts. The first part is the event itself. The second part is the meaning assigned to that event. While the first part is often outside your control, the second part remains largely within your influence. Imagine two people facing the same obstacle. Both experience the same disappointment. Both lose the same opportunity. Both encounter the same challenge. One person views the setback as evidence that they should stop trying. The other views the setback as information that can be used to improve. Months later, their lives may look completely different. The event was identical. The interpretation was not. This is why resilience begins in the mind before it appears in behavior. The way you think about adversity influences how you respond to adversity. When a challenge occurs, the mind naturally searches for explanations. During this process, it is easy to fall into destructive patterns. Thoughts become exaggerated. Temporary problems begin to look permanent. One difficult experience is used to predict an entire future. These mental habits drain energy and create unnecessary suffering. A more useful approach is to focus on facts rather than assumptions. The fact may be that a goal was not achieved. The assumption may be that achievement will never happen. The fact may be that a strategy failed. The assumption may be that every strategy will fail. The fact may be that progress slowed. The assumption may be that progress has ended. Resilience grows stronger when you learn to recognize the difference. Another important lesson is understanding that setbacks often teach lessons that success cannot provide. Success is enjoyable, but it can sometimes hide weaknesses. When things are going well, flaws in preparation may go unnoticed. Poor habits may remain hidden. Important skills may never be developed because circumstances are favorable enough to compensate. Challenges expose what comfort conceals. They reveal where improvement is needed. They show where discipline is lacking. They identify gaps in knowledge. They encourage adaptation. While these lessons may not feel pleasant in the moment, they often become valuable assets later. Many of the qualities people admire most are developed during difficult periods. Patience is developed while waiting. Endurance is developed while struggling. Wisdom is developed through reflection. Perspective is developed through experience. Very few people gain these qualities from easy circumstances alone. One practical habit that strengthens resilience is maintaining forward movement, even when that movement becomes small. After a setback, many people make the mistake of stopping completely. Discouragement convinces them that progress must wait until motivation returns. Days pass without action. Momentum disappears. The challenge begins feeling larger than it actually is. Resilient people understand a different principle. When major progress is difficult, focus on minor progress. Write one page, make one phone call, complete one task, practice one skill, take one step. Small actions may appear insignificant, but they preserve momentum. Momentum creates hope because it proves that movement is still possible. A person who continues moving, even slowly, remains connected to progress. A person who stops entirely often becomes trapped in frustration. Another aspect of resilience involves accepting reality quickly. Many people waste tremendous amounts of energy resisting facts they cannot change. They replay situations repeatedly in their minds. They wish events had unfolded differently. They become emotionally attached to versions of reality that no longer exist. Acceptance does not mean approval. Accept does not mean liking what happened. Acceptance means recognizing reality as it is so that useful action can begin. The sooner reality is accepted, the sooner energy can be redirected toward solutions. The Stoics emphasized this principle centuries ago. They understood that suffering increases when people demand that life behave according to their preferences. Peace becomes more accessible when energy is invested in responding wisely rather than arguing with reality. This perspective creates emotional strength. Instead of asking why a setback happened, resilient individuals often ask what can be done next. Instead of remaining focused on loss, they begin focusing on possibilities. Instead of dwelling on disappointment indefinitely, they gradually return their attention to action. This approach does not eliminate pain. It prevents pain from becoming permanent. There is also value in recognizing how much strength already exists within you. Many people underestimate their own resilience because they focus on current challenges without remembering previous victories. They forget the obstacles they have already overcome. They overlook the difficult seasons they survived. They ignore the lessons they have already learned. Take a moment to consider your own life. There have likely been situations that once seemed overwhelming. There were moments when you doubted whether you could handle what was in front of you. There were days filled with uncertainty. Yet somehow you continued, you adapted, you learned, you endured. The fact that you are here today is evidence of resilience already demonstrated. This evidence matters because it reminds you of an important truth. Strength is not something you must create from nothing. Strength is often something you discover through experience. Every challenge faced successfully adds another layer to that strength. Every obstacle overcome increases your capacity. Every recovery builds confidence in your ability to handle future difficulties. Resilience is not developed in a single dramatic moment. It is built gradually through repeated responses to adversity. Each time you choose to continue learning after failure, resilience grows. Each time you remain committed after disappointment, resilience grows. Each time you adapt instead of surrendering, resilience grows. Each time you move forward despite uncertainty, resilience grows. Over time, these choices create a mindset that cannot be easily shaken by temporary setbacks. You begin understanding that difficulties are part of the journey, rather than evidence that the journey should end. You begin trusting your ability to recover. You begin recognizing that progress is rarely a straight line. Most importantly, you begin seeing setbacks differently. They stop appearing as final verdicts. They become chapters rather than conclusions. They become experiences that shape you, rather than experiences that stop you. Life will continue presenting challenges. Some will be expected. Others will arrive without warning. You cannot eliminate every obstacle from your path. What you can do is strengthen the way you respond. Choose patience when results are delayed. Choose adaptability when plans change. Choose persistence when progress slows. Choose learning when mistakes occur. Choose movement when standing still feels easier. Resilience is not about avoiding difficulty. It is about developing the ability to continue despite difficulty. It is about trusting that setbacks are temporary while growth remains possible. Keep moving forward. Keep learning. Keep adapting. Keep building. Because every step taken after disappointment is proof that your circumstances may influence your path, but they do not have the power to determine your destination. Chapter 7. Commit to growth by learning from every experience. One of the greatest differences between people who continue growing throughout life and those who remain stuck is not intelligence, talent, education, or opportunity. It is the ability to learn from experience. Every day teaches something. Every conversation contains information. Every success reveals a principle. Every mistake highlights an area for improvement. Every challenge exposes a lesson that would otherwise remain hidden. The problem is not that lessons are unavailable. The problem is that many people move through life without paying attention to them. Experience alone does not guarantee growth. Two people can go through the same situation and emerge with completely different levels of wisdom. One person repeats the same patterns year after year. The other uses each experience as a source of understanding. Time passes for both individuals, but only one becomes noticeably stronger, wiser, and more capable. Growth begins when you stop viewing life as something that simply happens to you and start viewing it as something that can teach you. This shift changes the way you approach every situation. Instead of asking whether an experience is good or bad, you begin asking what it can teach you. Instead of becoming frustrated by every obstacle, You become curious about the lessons hidden within it. Instead of focusing entirely on outcomes, you begin paying attention to the process. Curiosity is one of the most valuable qualities a person can develop. A curious mind remains open. An open mind remains teachable. A teachable person continues improving long after others have stopped learning. Many people unknowingly create limits for themselves because they believe they already know enough. They stop asking questions. They stop examining their assumptions. They stop seeking better ways of thinking and acting. The moment growth stops, potential begins shrinking. The world continues changing. Knowledge continues expanding. New challenges continue emerging. A person committed to lifelong improvement understands that learning is never truly finished. There is always another lesson available. There is always another skill to develop. There is always another perspective worth considering. One powerful habit is learning to review experiences regularly. Most people rush from one activity to another without reflection. They complete projects, solve problems, face difficulties, achieve goals, and move on immediately. As a result, valuable insights are often lost. Reflection transforms experience into wisdom. Without reflection, experiences pass by quickly. With reflection, experiences become teachers. At the end of a day, week, or significant event, pause and ask yourself a few simple questions. What worked well? What could have been handled differently? What did this situation reveal about my habits? What strengths did I demonstrate? What weaknesses need attention? These questions create awareness. Awareness creates improvement. Improvement creates growth. This process may sound simple, but its impact can be profound over time. Small lessons accumulate. Tiny adjustments compound. Gradual improvements produce remarkable results. Another important principle is learning from success, instead of only learning from failure. Many people focus exclusively on mistakes. They analyze what went wrong while overlooking what went right. This creates an incomplete picture. Success contains valuable information. When something works well, study it. When you perform effectively, identify why. When you achieve progress, understand the behaviors that contributed to it. Success leaves clues. Those clues can be repeated. Growth becomes easier when you understand both your mistakes and your strengths. At the same time, failures should never be wasted. Every mistake carries information. Unfortunately, many people become defensive when mistakes occur. Instead of learning, they spend energy protecting their pride. They search for excuses. They blame circumstances. They avoid responsibility. This reaction prevents development. Strong individuals take a different approach. They acknowledge errors honestly. They examine what happened objectively. They identify useful lessons. Then they apply those lessons moving forward. This mindset removes unnecessary shame from the learning process. Making a mistake does not make you less valuable. It makes you human. Refusing to learn from the mistake is what creates long-term problems. Growth requires humility, because humility allows learning to continue. Humility does not mean thinking less of yourself. It means recognizing that there is always room for improvement. It means understanding that no one has mastered every skill. It means remaining willing to learn regardless of previous accomplishments. A humble person can gain wisdom from many sources. They learn from mentors. They learn from books. They learn from colleagues. They learn from competitors. They learn from younger people. They learn from older people. They learn from unexpected situations. Because their mind remains open, opportunities for growth appear everywhere. Another important lesson is recognizing that uncomfortable experiences often provide the greatest opportunities for development. Pleasant experiences are enjoyable. Comfortable situations feel safe. Familiar routines create stability. Yet many important lessons emerge when life becomes challenging. A difficult conversation may teach communication skills. A demanding responsibility may develop leadership. A disappointment may reveal unrealistic expectations. A period of uncertainty may strengthen patience. Growth often occurs during moments that initially seem inconvenient. This is one reason resilient people continue developing even during difficult seasons. They understand that challenges frequently contain valuable lessons disguised as problems. The Stoic philosophers emphasized the importance of using every circumstance wisely. They believed that external events could become opportunities for character development if approached with the right mindset. This perspective remains useful today. Traffic can teach patience. Criticism can teach emotional control. Delays can teach adaptability. Unexpected obstacles can teach creativity. Every situation presents a choice. You can react automatically, or you can learn intentionally. The second option creates growth. Another obstacle to learning is ego. Ego wants to appear correct. Ego wants to protect its image. Ego dislikes admitting weaknesses. Unfortunately, ego often blocks improvement. A person who refuses feedback limits their development. A person who avoids constructive criticism misses opportunities. A person who believes they have nothing left to learn eventually stops growing. Wisdom begins where defensiveness ends. The strongest people are often those most willing to receive feedback because they value improvement more than appearing perfect. This attitude accelerates growth. It transforms ordinary experiences into extraordinary lessons. Over time, a commitment to learning creates a remarkable transformation. You become more adaptable because you learn from changing circumstances. You become more capable because you continuously develop new skills. You become more confident because your understanding deepens. You become wiser because each experience contributes something valuable. Life stops feeling like a series of random events. Instead, it becomes a continuous education. Every challenge becomes a classroom. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to understand people better. Every success becomes a chance to identify effective habits. Every setback becomes a source of insight. This approach creates lasting growth because it places development within your control. You cannot control every experience. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every circumstance. But you can control whether you learn from them. That choice remains available every day. Choose curiosity over assumption. Choose reflection over distraction. Choose improvement over complacency. Choose learning over defensiveness. Years from now, the experiences themselves may fade from memory. What will remain are the lessons, skills, perspectives, and wisdom they helped create. The person you become is shaped not only by what happens to you, but by what you decide to learn from what happens to you. Commit to growth. Commit to learning. Commit to becoming wiser with every experience. Because when every experience becomes a lesson, every stage of life becomes an opportunity to become a stronger version of yourself. Chapter 8. Surround yourself with people who inspire confidence. No one builds a meaningful life entirely alone. Personal growth is an individual responsibility, but the people around you influence that journey more than you may realize. Their attitudes affect your thinking. Their habits influence your standards. Their expectations shape what you believe is possible. Their words can either strengthen your confidence or slowly weaken it over time. Many people focus heavily on goals, routines, and strategies while overlooking the environment in which those goals must grow. Yet even the strongest seed struggles in poor soil. Human potential works in a similar way. The people surrounding you can either encourage your development or quietly pull you away from it. This does not mean you should expect others to create confidence for you. Confidence must ultimately come from within. However, the people closest to you can either support that process or make it more difficult. Think about how different you feel after spending time with certain individuals. Some people leave you feeling energized. Conversations with them expand your thinking. They encourage responsibility. They challenge you to improve. They remind you of your strengths without ignoring your weaknesses. They celebrate your progress while encouraging continued growth. Other people create the opposite effect. Their conversations revolve around complaints. They criticize effort. They mock ambition. They focus constantly on limitations. They discourage action before action even begins. They speak as if improvement is impossible and success belongs only to a lucky few. The difference between these influences may seem subtle in a single conversation. Over months and years, however, the effect becomes significant. Human beings naturally absorb attitudes from their environment. If negativity becomes the dominant voice around you, maintaining optimism becomes more difficult. If excuses become normal, accountability becomes less common. If mediocrity becomes accepted, excellence begins to feel unusual. The people around you help establish what feels normal. This is why choosing your environment carefully is an act of wisdom. One of the most valuable relationships you can develop is a relationship with people who genuinely want to see you improve. These individuals are not impressed by excuses. They are not interested in keeping you comfortable at the expense of your growth. They respect your potential enough to encourage higher standards. Their support is not always soft. Sometimes it comes through honest feedback. Sometimes it comes through difficult questions. Sometimes it comes through challenging conversations. True support does not always tell you what you want to hear. True support often tells you what you need to hear. A person who constantly agrees with every decision you make is not necessarily helping you. A person who respectfully points out blind spots may be providing a far greater gift. Growth requires honesty. Honesty often comes from people who care enough to tell the truth. At the same time, it is important to distinguish between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. Constructive criticism aims to improve. Destructive criticism aims to discourage. Constructive criticism focuses on behavior. Destructive criticism attacks identity. Constructive criticism provides insight. Destructive criticism provides negativity. Learning to recognize this difference allows you to receive useful feedback without allowing harmful opinions to control your self-image. Another important lesson is that inspiring people are not necessarily perfect people. Many individuals spend years searching for flawless role models. Such people do not exist. Every person has weaknesses. Every person makes mistakes. Every person continues learning. The value of an inspiring individual is not perfection. The value lies in the qualities they consistently demonstrate. Perhaps they show integrity under pressure. Perhaps they maintain discipline during difficult circumstances. Perhaps they remain calm during uncertainty. Perhaps they take responsibility instead of making excuses. These qualities provide examples worth learning from. One practical way to improve your environment is to become intentional about who receives access to your attention. Attention is one of your most valuable resources. Every conversation influences your thinking. Every piece of content influences your perspective. Every voice you repeatedly listen to affects your beliefs. This means your environment extends beyond physical relationships. Books influence you. Educational content influences you. Mentors influence you. Ideas influence you. The voices entering your mind matter. If you spend hours consuming negativity, fear, outrage, and hopelessness, those influences gradually shape your outlook. If you spend time learning from thoughtful, disciplined, growth-oriented individuals, those influences begin shaping your outlook as well. Your mind reflects what it repeatedly encounters. Choose carefully what you allow into it. The Stoic philosophers understood the importance of association. They recognized that character is strengthened through contact with people who embody virtues worth developing. This principle remains valuable today. Spend time with people who encourage responsibility. Spend time with people who value honesty. Spend time with people who pursue improvement. Spend time with people who solve problems rather than constantly complain about them. Over time, these qualities begin influencing your own behavior. Another important truth is that healthy relationships create psychological safety. People perform better when they know they can learn without constant judgment. They develop more confidence when they can make mistakes without being defined by those mistakes. They grow faster when they are surrounded by encouragement instead of ridicule. An inspiring person understands this balance. They support growth while maintaining accountability. They encourage effort while remaining realistic. They believe in possibilities while respecting the need for discipline. These relationships become powerful because they create an environment where development feels achievable. At the same time, there may be situations where certain relationships require boundaries. Not every person will support your growth. Not every individual will understand your goals. Not everyone will celebrate positive changes in your life. Some people feel uncomfortable when others begin improving, because improvement challenges their own habits and assumptions. This reality can be difficult to accept. However, maturity requires recognizing that protecting your growth sometimes means limiting exposure to influences that consistently undermine it. Boundaries are not acts of hostility. They are acts of self-respect. They create space for healthier influences to enter your life. As you continue growing, another important realization often appears. You must become the type of person you hope to attract. If you want disciplined people in your life, develop discipline. If you want honest people in your life, practice honesty. If you want encouraging people in your life, become encouraging. Strong relationships are often built through shared values. The qualities you cultivate help determine the relationships you create. This means the process works in both directions. You are influenced by others. Others are influenced by you. Your presence affects the people around you. Your words affect the people around you. Your attitude affects the people around you. Become someone who contributes confidence rather than insecurity. Become someone who encourages responsibility rather than excuses. Become someone who helps others recognize their potential. In doing so, you strengthen your own character as well. Life becomes easier when you no longer walk the path of growth alone. The right people remind you of what is possible during moments of doubt. They provide perspective when challenges arise. They encourage progress when motivation fades. They demonstrate through their actions that improvement is achievable. Choose your environment wisely. Choose your influences carefully. Choose relationships that encourage your highest standards. Because the people surrounding you help shape the person you become, and one of the wisest decisions you can make is spending more time with those who inspire confidence, growth, integrity, and purpose. Chapter 9. Take bold action even before feeling fully ready. One of the most common reasons people fail to reach their potential is not a lack of talent, intelligence, opportunity, or resources. It is the habit of waiting. They wait for confidence. They wait for certainty. They wait for ideal conditions. They wait until every question has an answer. They wait until every fear disappears. They wait until they feel completely prepared. The problem is that life rarely provides such a moment. Many of the most important opportunities arrive before you feel ready for them. New responsibilities appear unexpectedly. Meaningful goals demand more than your current level of comfort. Significant decisions often must be made without perfect information. The future remains uncertain no matter how carefully you plan. If readiness becomes a requirement for action, progress slows dramatically. Growth often requires movement before complete confidence exists. Think back to major transitions in life. Few people feel fully prepared when entering a new stage. A student beginning a career does not know everything that lies ahead. A person accepting greater responsibility cannot predict every challenge. Someone pursuing an ambitious goal rarely possesses complete certainty about the outcome. Yet progress happens because action occurs despite incomplete preparation. This principle is difficult to accept because the mind naturally seeks security. Security feels comfortable. Predictability feels safe. Familiarity feels manageable. The unknown creates tension. The unknown introduces risk. The unknown demands courage. However, many of life's greatest opportunities exist beyond the boundaries of what feels familiar. The desire to feel completely ready often becomes a disguised form of avoidance. A person tells themselves they need more time, then they need more information, then they need more experience, then they need better circumstances. Months pass. Sometimes years pass. The opportunity remains untouched because preparation becomes an endless process. Preparation is valuable. Preparation is wise. Preparation is necessary. But preparation must eventually lead to action. At some point, learning must be followed by doing. Planning must be followed by execution. Intention must be followed by commitment. Otherwise, potential remains unrealized. One of the most important lessons in personal growth is understanding that action creates clarity. Many people believe clarity comes first. They imagine they must know exactly what to do before taking the first step. In reality, understanding often develops during the process. A person learns about business by building a business. A person learns about leadership by leading. A person learns about communication by communicating. A person learns about challenges by facing them directly. Experience provides information that observation alone cannot provide. This is why movement is so powerful. Even imperfect action produces feedback. Feedback creates learning. Learning creates improvement. Improvement creates competence. Competence creates confidence. The cycle begins with action. Another obstacle many people face is the fear of making mistakes. They become so concerned about avoiding errors that they avoid opportunities as well. This approach may prevent certain failures, but it also prevents many successes. Mistakes are not always signs of poor judgment. Often they are signs of participation. Every skilled person was once inexperienced. Every expert was once a beginner. Every accomplishment began with attempts that were less refined than later results. Improvement requires room for mistakes, because mistakes often reveal what needs attention. The goal is not flawless performance. The goal is continuous progress. A person committed to growth understands that every action provides useful information. A successful result reveals what works. An unsuccessful result reveals what can be improved. Both outcomes provide value. This perspective removes much of the fear surrounding action. When every experience contains learning, fewer situations feel wasted. The Stoic philosophers often emphasize the importance of focusing on what is within your control. This wisdom becomes especially useful when facing uncertainty. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every reaction from other people. You cannot control every challenge that may appear. You can control whether you take action. You can control the effort you invest. You can control the preparation you complete. You can control the standards you maintain. When attention shifts toward these controllable areas, hesitation loses much of its power. A practical way to develop boldness is by reducing the distance between decision and action. Many opportunities disappear because people spend too much time debating with themselves. They think endlessly, they analyze endlessly, they imagine countless scenarios. Meanwhile, no progress occurs. This habit creates paralysis. Thoughts continue expanding while action remains absent. A more effective approach is deciding on a reasonable course of action and then beginning, not recklessly, not carelessly, but decisively. Decisive people understand that waiting indefinitely rarely improves outcomes. They gather relevant information, they evaluate options, they make a decision, then they move. This ability creates momentum. Momentum is valuable because it shifts focus away from fear and toward execution. Once action begins, energy naturally flows toward solving problems, adapting to circumstances, and making improvements. The mind becomes occupied with progress rather than speculation. Another important realization is that opportunities often reward courage more than comfort. Many people remain in situations they have outgrown because change feels intimidating. They stay in routines that no longer serve them. They continue postponing important goals. They remain attached to familiar limitations. Comfort becomes a prison disguised as safety. The cost of inaction is often invisible at first. Days pass normally, nothing dramatic happens, yet hidden costs accumulate. Skills remain undeveloped. Possibilities remain unexplored. Experiences remain unexperienced. Potential remains unrealized. Year later, regret often grows from opportunities ignored rather than challenges attempted. The pain of effort is usually temporary. The pain of wondering what might have been can last much longer. This does not mean every risk should be taken. Wisdom still matters. Thoughtful preparation still matters. Responsible decision-making still matters. Poor action is not reckless action. Poor action means moving forward when fear suggests retreat. Poor action means pursuing meaningful goals despite uncertainty. Bold action means trusting your ability to adapt even when outcomes remain unknown. There is a powerful difference between being prepared and feeling prepared. Many people possess enough knowledge, enough ability, and enough resources to begin. What they lack is not preparation. What they lack is the feeling of certainty. The challenge is that feelings often lag behind reality. You may already be capable of taking the next step, even if you do not feel capable. You may already be ready to begin, even if confidence has not fully arrived. Waiting for emotions to provide permission can delay progress unnecessarily. Sometimes action must come first. Confidence often follows. The future belongs to people willing to engage with uncertainty rather than hide from it. It belongs to those who understand that growth requires participation. It belongs to those who accept that no path comes with complete guarantees. Life rewards movement, it rewards initiative, it rewards commitment, it rewards the courage to begin. At some point, every person must decide whether they will spend their life preparing for possibilities or actively pursuing them. One path creates endless anticipation, the other creates experience. One path is dominated by hesitation, the other is shaped by action. One path watches opportunities pass by, the other steps forward to meet them. Choose movement, choose participation, choose action. Take the first step before every answer appears. Take the next step before every doubt disappears. Take the necessary step before perfect confidence arrives. Because many of the greatest transformations in life begin when an ordinary person decides that being fully ready is not required to begin moving toward something extraordinary. Chapter 10. Believe in yourself and create lasting positive change. As you reach this point, it becomes clear that believing in yourself is not a single decision made once and then forgotten. It is a practice. It is a way of thinking. It is a commitment that must be renewed through daily choices. It is built through actions, strengthened through challenges, refined through experience, and proven through persistence. Many people spend their lives searching for a moment when confidence will suddenly appear and transform everything. They imagine a future version of themselves who never feels uncertainty, never questions a decision, and never struggles with difficulty. That version does not exist. What does exist is something far more powerful, a person who continues moving forward despite uncertainty, a person who remains committed despite obstacles, a person who chooses growth despite discomfort, a person who understands that progress is not determined by perfection but by consistency. Believing in yourself is not about becoming someone else. It is about recognizing the potential that already exists within you and taking responsibility for developing it. Every person begins somewhere. No one starts with complete knowledge. No one begins with unlimited confidence. No one enters life already possessing every skill required for success. Everything valuable must be developed. Strength must be developed. Wisdom must be developed. Discipline must be developed. Character must be developed. The encouraging truth is that development remains possible as long as you are willing to participate in the process. Positive change does not happen by accident. It is created intentionally. It begins with decisions that often appear small at first, choosing to wake up and honor a commitment, choosing to learn instead of making excuses, choosing to remain patient during a difficult season, choosing to improve a habit that has held you back, choosing to respond thoughtfully rather than emotionally. These moments may seem ordinary when viewed individually, yet when repeated consistently, they create extraordinary results. Life is shaped by accumulation. The person you become next year is influenced by the choices you make today. The quality of your future relationships is influenced by how you treat people now. Your future opportunities are influenced by the skills you develop today. Your future confidence is influenced by the promises you keep to yourself right now. The future is not created in a single dramatic event. It is created through repeated daily actions. This understanding is empowering because it places meaningful change within reach. You do not need to transform your entire life overnight. You do not need to solve every problem immediately. You do not need to achieve every goal this week. You simply need to continue moving in the right direction. Many people become discouraged because they underestimate the power of gradual improvement. They focus on how far they still have to go, instead of recognizing how much can change through consistent effort. A small improvement repeated every day eventually becomes significant. A useful habit practiced consistently eventually becomes automatic. A new skill developed patiently eventually becomes a strength. A better mindset cultivated intentionally eventually becomes part of your identity. This process requires patience because meaningful change often develops quietly. There may be periods when progress is difficult to see. Results may not arrive as quickly as expected. Growth may feel slower than desired during these moments. Belief becomes especially important. Not blind belief, not wishful thinking, a grounded belief based on the understanding that effort invested wisely tends to produce results over time. The Stoic philosophers often emphasized focusing on what can be controlled rather than becoming consumed by what cannot. This principle becomes incredibly valuable when pursuing positive change. You cannot control every outcome. You cannot control every obstacle. You cannot control how quickly opportunities appear. You can control your effort. You can control your attitude. You can control your habits. You can control your willingness to continue. When attention remains focused on these areas, progress becomes sustainable. Another important lesson is recognizing that lasting change involves identity as much as behavior. Many people attempt to change actions without changing the way they see themselves. They try to become disciplined while continuing to think of themselves as undisciplined. They try to become confident while continuing to identify as insecure. They try to become responsible while continuing to view themselves as victims of circumstance. Real transformation accelerates when behavior and identity begin working together. Each positive action becomes evidence of a new story. Each responsible decision becomes proof of a stronger character. Each challenge handled effectively becomes evidence of growing capability. Over time, the evidence accumulates. Eventually, self-belief becomes rooted in experience rather than hope. You begin trusting yourself because you have demonstrated reliability. You begin respecting yourself because you have developed discipline. You begin feeling more capable because you have repeatedly faced challenges and learned from them. This type of confidence is durable because it is connected to reality. It does not depend on constant praise. It does not require perfect circumstances. It does not disappear when difficulties arise. It remains because it has been earned through effort and experience. As life continues, there will still be challenges. There will still be unexpected setbacks. There will still be moments of uncertainty. Personal growth does not eliminate difficulty. What it does is increase your ability to handle difficulty effectively. The person who believes in themselves is not protected from challenges. They are prepared for challenges. They trust their ability to learn. They trust their ability to adapt. They trust their ability to recover. They trust their ability to continue. This trust becomes one of the greatest sources of strength a person can possess. There is also another benefit to personal growth that is often overlooked. When you improve yourself, you influence others. People notice integrity. People notice discipline. People notice resilience. People notice responsibility. Your example communicates possibilities that words alone cannot communicate. Someone observing your commitment may become inspired to pursue their own growth. Someone watching your persistence may find the courage to continue their own journey. Someone witnessing your positive change may begin believing change is possible for them as well. Growth creates a ripple effect. Improving your life has the potential to improve the lives of others. This is one reason personal development matters so much. It extends beyond individual success. It contributes to families. It contributes to communities. It contributes to future generations. The decision to become better benefits more people than you may ever realize. As you move forward, remember that self-belief is not measured by what you say about yourself. It is measured by how you treat your potential. Do you invest in it? Do you develop it? Do you protect it? Do you challenge it? Do you use it? Your answers to these questions shape the direction of your life. There will never be a perfect moment to begin becoming the person you are capable of becoming. The opportunity exists now. In today's choices, in today's habits, in today's decisions, in today's actions, every day provides another chance to strengthen your character, expand your abilities, and move closer to the life you want to create. Believe in your capacity to learn. Believe in your ability to adapt. Believe in your power to improve. Believe in your willingness to continue. Most importantly, believe that positive change is possible when consistent effort meets purposeful action. The future is not something that simply happens to you. It is something you help create through the standards you maintain, the decisions you make, and the person you choose to become. Continue growing. Continue learning, continue improving, continue moving forward, because the most powerful form of self-belief is not merely believing that you can change your life. It is proving to yourself day after day that you are committed to creating a life worthy of your highest potential.